Hi, this is Janice, and I wanted to show you what the process is like to create a Hope Pause. So, back when we had just started really trying to encourage other people, we started writing devotionals, and they could have been just scripture, or it could have been just encouragement to help people along. And so we collected those and we compiled them into a devotional that we call a Hope Pause. This is what a Hope Pause is. This is fully done, ready to go. But I wanted to show you what the process is like to fully create one, because a lot of people love to watch crafting, and I love to craft. So, I have already printed, basically in the document, everything's already Janicified, it's already prettified, it's already perfect, or as close to perfect as you can get. So as I print, I always print 2 pages on one sheet for the devotionals, and that saves room, it saves time, it saves ink and paper. And so I already printed the first 2 pages, which is the front and the inside cover, and I've already printed the back 2 pages. And I have also printed the other inside, like the next page to that, and it will look like this when it's done. We like to personalize it by signing it, because why not? And so right now I am finishing printing, but when it is fully printed, I will come back and I will show you what's next. Tune in. Okay, welcome back. One of the next stages is to actually sign our craft. We like to just make it a little personal, because we are so blessed that God gave us these gifts, and we just want to share it and encourage people. So what's more authentic than personalizing it with our signature? So I'm just going to sign. And then usually when I'm finished, I usually pass them off to Melissa and have her sign. And then the next step comes. So tune in. Welcome back. This is Janice, and I want to show you the next stage in the process of crafting the Hope Pauses. So the next step is I have everything printed. Already separated what I need. So I'm going to show you what I typically do now. We're going to have to laminate. So I have the pre-printed and whatever sheets here, and this is what it's going to look like. It's going to be cut out like this, back and front, middle page, back page. Okay. So this is my process. So I am basically going to take some laminating sheets here, and typically I will just fold them in half like so. And I usually do that for all the things that I need to fold and laminate, because what I can do is I can put them on a sheet together. So I typically just keep folding. Welcome back. So I did the folding. So this is how my process goes. So I did the folding of all the things that I need to laminate. But now, since they're folded, I'm just taking them and I'm just making sure they're really folded, like fully. because I want to be able to take them and fit them in the laminating sheet without any problems. Okay, so first step is to take a laminating sheet, and these you can get from Amazon. There's lots of different brands with different pricings. What's easiest for me while I'm laminating is to do a cover and a back in one sleeve. And that's why I also fold them, is because we wanted them to be, you know, more of an actual smaller devotional. And it's really cute. So, laminating sheets usually come with like a, kind of like a seam here. So you just take a sheet and you put it in there all the way to the end so that it's snug. And you just take the other one and you put it side by side. I usually try to make sure that there is enough room so you can see in between, because that's where I will cut later when it's laminated. So that is one. And again, they are supposed to look like these when they're cut up. And I will show you that process as well. But this is basically what we do for the laminating. It's just a lot of, you know, folding and putting it into sleeves, and then the next stage will be actually laminating. And I usually do, you know, the signature pages, you know, the inside next page is usually the signature page, which we've already signed. So that's what that's going to look like. And that are these. And I usually put these like 2 in a sleeve, because I can just cut what I need out of there, you know, and so that's why sometimes they're by themselves. But this is how we do that. We can also tailor it to whatever project that we might have, or if somebody else needed something done, we would see what their vision is and then go from there. So tune in for the next stage. Welcome back. So I obviously folded. I put them in laminating sheets, and this is the laminator. And it is already ready. I turned it on about 6 minutes ago, and then the green light just came on, which means it's ready to start. So usually my process is to make a much higher pile and do it all on one time. But for the sake of doing crafts, I want to show you the process. So I'm going to do a shorter pack. And so always be careful so that whatever you have in these sheets don't fall out. And you always want to put in the sealed edge first. So the edge that's sealed. And then you always put that in first. So basically you're just gonna feed it in and you're gonna watch it slowly go through. And so that's why I usually make a higher pile, because it is a process and it goes pretty slow, but the finished product is worth it. So the laminating machine basically will just seal tight the rest of it. So there won't be any movement, and you could make it last, you know, like I love it because I'm clumsy. So if I accidentally spill something on it, I just wipe it off. It's used again. And so that is why we do that for like the covers or the inside notes that we might have. And now you have a laminating So, next stage, tune in. Welcome back. Next stage. Oh, this is gonna be fun. So, typically what I will do, now that I have all of them laminated, is I will take the covers. These are all the covers, back and fronts. And these are all the inside sheets, back and front. And I will turn it into already pre-cut, pre-done, okay? So this is how I will show you. Scissors, you're gonna need scissors. And you will also need rubber bands. This helps me keep the next stage of the process together. So typically, again, it's cutting straight in the middle. And I make the separate piles again because that's easier. And so I don't need to worry right this minute about having it, you know, all the same exact measure, you know, like, because when I get there, I'll show you, these are already not only pre-cut, but they're measured, not measured, but they're cut the same length, and they're already good. So I will show that to you. So I'm just gonna do a couple. Okay, I got 4 of each. So basically now what I do is front page, next page, there's page numbers, which helps me because otherwise it'd be a hot mess. Back, and do that. And then I put that to the side. And I continue to do that just until I'm ready for the next process of that. And because I'm on the last one here that I'm showing you, this is where I will kind of, I mean, they're all the same size, obviously, but I like to just make sure they kind of look decent. So sometimes I just cut around the edges, just making them more even. Because sometimes they can look a little odd. And then I have a fancy little thing that came off the laminating machine. This is a corner rounder. So basically, after you laminate things and you cut it out, it helps get rid of the sharp corners. So you just stick it in here in the little corner here. Quick. And so this is actually pretty fun if you're a crafty nerd like me, because it just seems fun. It's satisfying to hear the click. It means it's doing something. And so obviously do this, and then make sure all the corners are pretty good. And then it is ready to be rubber band until I show you the next stage. These are broken down in stages because I usually do multiple printings at once. So I usually have a process that lasts a while. So that's why I broke it down into more manageable pieces so that it's not so stressy. So tune in until the next one. Welcome back. I'm ready for the next stage. So this is one printed full Hope Pause, minus the front covers and back. So basically now it's time to do what we did before and fold. So what I really like about folding is that it's very relaxing for me. So I will undo one of these because it's already prepared. First 2 pages already good. And then as you fold, you just make sure pages are in the correct order because that will be helpful. And that is also how I make sure that the pages are in the correct order, so that when I do my next stage, it will not throw me off if I see something out of order. So typically the Hope Pauses are 75-ish pages in a document. So that's also why we like to make it a 2 on each page, because now it looks as if you double-sided it, but because of the way my brain works, if you single-sided or double-sided a full page, it would be a full page, and we wanted smaller devotions. So, at least this way, it does kind of still look like there's front and back. So typically that 75, 76 pages will then be 30, 35 a piece. And when we get to the binding process, there's different binding combs for your specific projects. Depends on how many pages it is. So even though technically printer paper wise it was 30 something, because it's 70 something, technically you have to use spirals that can hold up to 70 to 100 pages, just to make sure that you have the right binding material. just like we did before we laminated. I like to make sure they're all like that, and they're going to be a little puffy, right, because I just folded them. So that's why I, again, will go like this, make sure they're fully folded so that they're easier to bind. And it's easier to store. So, and you put the back cover. And now you have a fully functional Hope Pause that's not bound yet. And then I put it in a basket so that when I have enough of them, I can start the binding process. So, let me get there and I will come back and show you how to bind. Welcome back. This is Janice, and I'm going to show you the last stage of the Hope Pause project. So typically you will need your creation, which in this case is the Hope Pause. There also will need to be a binding machine. This specific model is a Bindy-Tech Echo Pro. It has 19 prongs, which means there's 19 hole punches. This machine can hole punch, and it can also bind. There is a helpful little chart here that tells you also which binding spiral you are going to need, and that is this one. So this specific project, depending on your project needs, is about 75 pages, which is double-sided printed and folded, which then times it by 2. So this specific spiral is a 5/8. It's 16 millimeters, and it can hold up to 150 pages, which is perfect for this project. So thankful that they have a chart on here that tells you which spiral size you will need. And then the first step is to hole punch. So a little bit about the machine is this is a little knobby thing where you can like make sure when you put it into the hole punch that you keep it up against here so that you know that you're not going to hole punch wrong. And so then there's a lever that you will pull down, and it'll make a sound indicating that it hole punched. And so you typically will just hold it in there. Make sure you completely push it in because you don't want it to hole punch a little versus none at all. So another thing I do is when it comes to the pages, I don't put too many in at once because you don't want to get the thing jammed. So, okay, so this is all hole punched. The one thing I also want to note is that a hole puncher always fills up with the little punches of holes that you punched. So this machine has a little door that you can pull out and get rid of. And then just I usually do that between every hole punch just because I don't want to have to forget. And so now comes the spiraling. The spiraling has little prongs. So these are little prongs. You're always going to put the back, like this big part with the prongs facing up and stick it in the machine here. Then you're going to kind of just counterclockwise, like push it forward, and it's going to open the spirals. From here, I think you can get where I'm getting. I always go backwards, because if you try to do it forwards, it might not be exactly the way you want it. So I basically just take the hole punched materials, and this time you don't have to worry about how many pages you put on at once, but I still don't put all of them at once, because what if you miss one and then you have to realize that, oh, one page isn't fully there. Then you gotta take the whole thing off to do it all again. That's personal experience. And so, what I love about these spirals is that this one is literally perfect for this, because it doesn't have much else room for it. So now that it's fully done, you are gonna pull the lever back down, and then it's going to release the prongs, and then you will just lift it up, and then you will have a fully bound book. Then I typically, since it's not a full-size book, will cut at the very top of that spiral where the book ends and cut it off. Then sometimes the hole puncher will like be weird, so I always cut that part off too. It looks more professional if it doesn't look like you have a hole punch all willy-nilly. Then the very last thing I do is some people really like QR codes, and because I like to craft, I laminate them. So the very back cover is where I take a QR code for our YouTube, and I usually take a glue stick, and I will do that. Then I will take it and put it in this little spot here. And now, for the younger generation, or for whoever really likes technology, they also have a QR code, which will lead them also to all the spots. And the front cover also has a QR for the website, as well as if you wanted to donate for creating other projects. So, this is a Hope Pause, and I am so thankful that you were with me during this process, and that you really enjoyed watching. I would love to help create your next project and bring your vision to life if you have one. And yeah, this is what I love to do. So if there's any way I can help you, my email will be on the description below, and just send me a message and let's see what we can do. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, see you later.